Stand in mountain pose at the front of your mat. Extend your fingers. Extend through your elbows. Draw your arms to support your chest and broaden your chest into the arms. Base of the neck wide and soft. Feel the spread of your toes and the press of your heels. Draw up through the ankles. Draw the kneecaps up to the pelvis. Lengthen the sides of your waist. Gaze over your nose. Even though the body is strong and aligned, feel the sway of the body from front to back, from side to side, in all the possible directions. Keep modulating around center. Feel the strength of mountain pose. Inhale, raise your arms out to the side, all the way up over your head as you gaze at your hands. Swan dive forward, standing forward bend. Bend the legs, slide the chin and the chest forward, jump to push-up position. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Breathe easy. Elongate the waist. Reach down through the heels. Gaze at your legs. Bend the legs, jump forward. Exhale, standing forward bend. Inhale, swoop all the way up to volcano pose and back to mountain pose. Inhale, raise your arms to the outside, up and over your head, gazing at the hands. Exhale, swan dive forward, standing forward bend. Bend the legs, put weight on your hands, jump to push-up position. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, and downward facing dog. Spread the toes. Press down through your fingers. Elongate the waist. Look at your legs. Bend the legs, jump forward, standing forward bend. Inhale, swoop all the way up to volcano pose, gazing up at your hands, and exhale, return to mountain. Breathe easy. Inhale, raise your arms up and over your head, gazing at your hands. Exhale, swan dive forward, moving from your pelvis over your legs. Bend the legs, slide the chin and the chest forward, jump, push-up position. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, and downward facing dog. Easy breathing. Notice the breath. Work your legs in a way that pulls the breath into the pose. Bend your legs, jump forward. Exhale, standing forward bend. Inhale, swoop all the way up to volcano pose, looking at your hands, and open the arms back to mountain pose. Easy breathing. Mountain pose. Notice the balance after those sun salutations. Bend the legs. Touch the fingertips to the ground. Inhale, chair pose into standing back bend and swan dive forward, standing forward bend. Bend the legs, push-up position. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, and downward facing dog. Right foot forward between the hands. Inhale, warrior one. Looking up, exhale, swan dive forward, push-up position. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Left foot forward between the hands. Inhale, warrior one, planting your back heel. Gazing up, swan dive, and push-up position. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Easy breathing. Gaze at your legs. Reach down through your heels. Spread your toes. Extend the arms all the way from the tailbone. Bend your legs, jump forward, look forward, exhale, standing forward bend. Bend the legs to chair pose, looking up, reach up to standing back bend, and open the arms back to mountain pose. Inhale, bend the legs, chair pose. Open up to volcano pose, swan dive forward, standing forward bend. Bend the legs, put weight on the hands, push-up position. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Right foot forward between the hands, ground the back heel. Inhale, warrior one. Exhale, push-up position. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Exhale, left foot forward. Inhale, warrior one. Looking up, open up, swan dive forward. Push-up position, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Notice your breathing. Let it be as fast and as smooth as needed. Don't control it. Let it flow through the body. Bend the legs, look forward. Jump forward, standing forward bend. Bend the legs to chair pose. Inhale, straighten the legs to standing back bend. Exhale, release the arms back to mountain pose. Breathing easy. Notice the balance over your feet. Interlace your fingers, take your arms over your head. Feel the line between the hands and the feet. Lengthen the waist. Lift the rib cage off the pelvis. Root the pelvis down with the legs, down into the heels. As you breathe, anchor the legs. Exhale, release the arms back to mountain pose. Easy breathing. Interlace the opposite index finger on top. Extend the arms over your head. Press your shoulder blades firm into the back. Spread the shoulder blades away from the spine. Deepen the armpit. Extend through the elbow. Soften the outsides of your neck. Press the heel bone down. Release the arms back to mountain pose. Easy breathing. Strong legs. Walk back to down dog and kick up towards handstand. For those who need the wall, don't hesitate. For those who can just kick for a while, just begin to kick and move as close to handstand as you can. Breathe easy. For those who are in handstand, extend the legs together, reach through the heels, press down through the heel of the hands, lengthen the waist, gaze down at the ground. Breathing, full length. Slowly release and come back down. Go towards the wall and do standing forward bend. Feel the length of the legs. Plant the feet strongly into the ground. Release the neck and the head. Feel the coolness of the forward bend after handstand. Relax the brain. Make the legs even longer. Inhale, look forward. Hands on the hip. Come back to mountain pose. Place a block at its widest and lowest width on the ground. Frame the block with your hands and kick up to forearm stand. Once you get your feet against the wall, reach them higher and higher up the wall. Really lengthen the torso. Press down through your index finger and thumb. Gaze towards your thumb, but lengthen the legs up. So you'll have a slight back bend with a full extension. Breathe easy. Let the legs pull the breath in. Let the arms help escort the exhalation out. Lower one leg to the ground and come back to standing. Mountain pose, hands on the hips, narrow the hip points, come into standing forward bend. Use these forward bends as ways to cool down from the inversions. For those who can plant the hands on the ground, do that. Broaden the chest. Let the arms help pull the torso down to lengthen the waist. Inhale, look forward. Walk your feet back to downward facing dog. Feel the upper body belong to the arms. Feel the lower body belong to the legs. Easy breathing. Feel the main divide at the waist. Slowly tease the waist longer. As you press your thighs back towards the hamstrings, feel like your breath is being drawn into the lower belly. Walk forward between your hands, look forward, and then release into standing forward bend. Make your legs even longer. Root down through your feet. Make your waist longer through the pull of your chest and your head down with your hands. Walk your hands forward, walk your feet back to downward facing dog. Bend your knees, come to all fours. Inhale into a back bend. Sit back into a lightning pose and prepare for headstand. For those who need a wall, go to the wall. Reach your legs strong up to the sky. Press your forearms down into the ground. And yet, let the torso breathe freely. Arms and legs working. Neck and waist easy. Let the legs pull the tailbone higher up towards the ceiling. Feel the weight on the crown of your head. As the crown of your head anchors into the ground, lift the shoulder blades up towards the legs and broad away from the center of your spine. Deepen the armpits towards the shoulder blades. Press your wrist into the ground. Soften the fingers. Let your neck be easy and supported. Just like in downward facing dog, take the weight out of the lower back. Squeeze the legs together and feel the line between the two legs. See if you can make that imaginary line longer. From that line, feel the length of the waist. Easy breathing. For any of you who need to come down, bend your knees to your chest and take child's pose for the rest of this pose. How do you know you need to come down? If your arms feel weak and your neck feels heavy and your breathing begins to be labored. For those who stay longer, sharpen your legs even more. You'll be surprised that the more you sharpen the legs, the easier the neck will become. Even though you're being very strong in the pose, see if you can navigate the very center of the balance, the crown of the head to the arches of the feet. Keep finding that plumb line. As you anchor your legs together, turn your legs to the right. Notice that twist. Anchor between the legs even more and turn. As your head anchors, your shoulders also turn. Come back to center, exhale, and turn to the left. Sharpen the legs again. Try to feel that midline between the legs and the midline of the spine, that you're turning the outside bodies around. Come back to center. Steady yourself in the center. Breathe easy. Bring your knees into your chest and come into child's pose. Reach your hands and your arms forward as your sitting bones come down towards your heels. Release the neck. Notice your breathing. Let the head rest on the ground. Inhale, come to all fours. And sit in hero's pose. Get 2 blocks and place them behind you. We'll adjust those blocks later on in reclined hero's pose. For now, take the heel of the hands onto the top of your thighs. Coax the thighs to drop deeper towards the ground as you float the chest and the head up away from the tailbone. If you need to sit on one of the blocks here, don't hesitate. Don't make this difficult for your knees. Steady the mind. This is a beautiful pose for meditation. And after headstand, the mind is centered. Notice the breathing. Lie back. If you have a block under your hips, move it back under the chest and the other block under the head. Some of you can lie all the way to the ground. Some of you might need a wall to lean up against. Whichever you choose, choose the position that allows for ease. Feel the compression of the legs. Feel the length of the waist. Notice your exhalation. See if you're holding your exhalation at all. And feel like you can let the exhalation be complete. Let go of the holding that is impeding the exhalation. Notice your breath. Rest in reclined hero's pose. Keep teasing the waist longer. Keep folding the legs more completely. At any time this becomes difficult for your lower back or your knees, either adjust it higher or come out and sit in hero's pose. This is a great pose to take after you've worked the legs a lot. This helps in digestion. This helps with unbinding the overwork of the quadriceps. Inhale, lift up a little higher and drop the head back and come up with the chest first, back to hero's pose. Steady yourself in hero's pose. Feel the mind settling into the legs. Feel the length of the waist. Notice the ease of the breath. Gaze with your eyes towards a single focus point. Steady the movement of the eyes. Keep noticing the breath as you meditate on a single point. Set up for shoulder stand. Take your time, put your shoulders on the blanket, roll to plow pose, take the strap around your arms, and extend the legs up to shoulder stand. Adjust your hands every 30 seconds. As time goes on, you'll be able to get a little higher up on your shoulders. Eventually, it becomes a balance pose. And the arms are just navigating the falling side to side, backward and forward. You feel the groundedness of the shoulders up into the pinnacle of the legs. We utilize the support of our arms because a lot of us have tightness in the back of the neck or tightness in the shoulders. But we slowly address that tightness, and we get more and more on our shoulders. And here again, just like in headstand, we navigate the balance. We feel how much we can refine the legs right over the shoulders. This is one of the few poses you can really use the bicep muscles. You press the hands into the back. You press the upper arms into the ground. You lengthen the waist with the reach of the legs. All of this work with the arms and the legs, and you relax the neck. It's so important all day long. Whatever you do, relax your neck. When the neck gets tense, there's a little chance to have freedom of the mind and ease of the breath. So shoulder stand begins to really address this habitual tension in the shoulders, the neck, and the upper body. Gaze at the belly. Gaze at the line between the legs. As you readjust the hands, keep making the side of your torso still longer. Very slowly lower down to plow pose. Interlace the fingers and straighten the elbows. Press the shoulders into the blanket. Press your thighs up to the ceiling as your toes remain on the ground. Without binding the neck, get more length out of the torso from the grounding of the shoulders and the lift of the pelvis with the extension of the legs. Come way up to your tippy toes and get as much height and length to the waist. Soften the neck. Gaze at your belly. Let the breath be as easy as possible as you work your arms and your legs. Slowly bend your knees towards your shoulders and roll down. Take your hands on your belly and wait and feel. Notice the effects of shoulder stand. Notice the effects of all of these inversions. The feet on the ground, the body on the blankets, the hands on your belly, the neck and the head released off the edge of the blankets. Sometimes the most divine moments you'll have are after shoulder stand. So soak up this quietness. Let it be part of the fabric of your everyday life. Slide your torso now so your shoulders come to the ground and your hips come more on the blankets. Let your arms come out to your sides, like the shape of a cross. This supported constructive rest after shoulder stand is maybe the finest moment of letting the breath be easy. Sometimes we have a hard time knowing what a free breath is. After this sequence of poses, culminating here into this supported bridge pose, you might get a little vision, a little hint of how it feels to have a free breath. Roll to your side and come into a two-legged seated forward bend, Paschimottanasana. As you engage the legs strongly and press them down into the ground, cascade the torso over the long legs. The lift of the elbows pulls the ribcage forward and teases the waist longer out of the root of the tailbone and the root of the two thigh bones. If your head doesn't touch your shins, place a block or a blanket under your head so your head can rest easily. Draw the skin of your forehead down towards the tip of your nose. Feel the ease of the mind, the broad inner forehead, the relaxed brain, the soft, easy channel of the neck, the broad back body, the resting of the body on the legs. Ground the legs more. Spread the toes. Keep finding the foundation of the feet through the legs. Let the breath move the spine. Every so often you can come out of the pose a little bit and readjust and then go back down. Keep noticing. Don't insist with the mind, but adjust with the breath. Come out and lie in your back, supporting the back of the knees with a rolled up blanket. Notice your heels on the ground. Notice the calf muscles on the blanket. As your shin bones and your thigh bones drop, feel the space inside the knees. Then feel the space in the hip joints. Feel the space in the lower back. Feel the broadness of your back torso on the ground. Notice how the shoulder blades rest on the ground and relax deeply in the shoulder sockets themselves. Feel the space in the elbow. Notice the sensations in your wrist. Feel the natural curl of your fingers in the space inside the palm of your hand. Notice the throat. Notice any space inside the throat. Notice the corners of your lips. Feel a wideness between the corners of your lips. Notice the inner corners of your eyes. Feel the depth at the inner corners of the eyes. Notice all the sounds that you are hearing, and let that help you observe the space inside your ear. Relax your jaw. And notice from the relaxation of your jaw how that affects the space inside your ear. Observe where the skull attaches to the neck. Feel any space between those two areas. Notice the cavities behind the eyes. Notice where the back of your skull rests on the ground and feel a broadness to the back of your skull. Observe your belly rising and falling. And observe how the belly rises and falls with the inhalation and the exhalation. But as that happens, there's also a slight pause at the top of the inhale and the bottom of the exhale. So you have the end of the exhale and the beginning of the inhale. You have the top of the inhale moving in to the exhalation. Those transitions become incredibly important to watch. There's an emptiness in those transitions. There's a peace in those transitions. Stay dropped in to the rhythm of the breath and the four components: the inhale, the suspension, the exhale, the emptiness. Draw your knees to your chest, roll over to your side and sit in simple cross-legged pose. Hands on top of your chest, bow your head, namaste.